Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. I'm reading today for Leo and I'm actually reading for tomorrow, but the messages that have come through the cards quite clearly are talking about the Aquarius full moon. So if you look here, you've got this Aquarius energy, the king of air, and then right next to it the moon. So definitely the moon is featuring prominently with this kind of Aquarian character in your reading today. So yeah, I'm going to put this up. It's due to go up on Friday, but the full moon begins kind of on the 11th over to the 12th. So it kind of spans those 2 days because of time zones. So I thought I really need to get this up before before whatever this is happens. So there's some similarities with some of the other readings, like this change that's coming in, early signifiers of a change. It came through really prominently in Taurus's reading, which is interesting because we've got the Emperor here as well, which is Aries Taurus, usually in the tarot, but today it's very, very Leo Emperor. So, I mean, anyone can be the Emperor. It's just an energy that people embody, right? So it's tied to those zodiac signs, but it never has to be that specific zodiac sign. So just so you know, while you're watching my readings. So yeah, Taurus had this thing about this change that was coming in, this energy that was pushing back the change. It was like holding it back to let a little bit of something through. So you can kind of see it here and here in your cards as well. Now, when I do these story time readings, it does seem to be kind of collective messages filtered through the lenses of each sign, because everybody, say something happens, say something like a global event happens, people experience it differently on a personal level. And that's what seems to happen when I do story time readings. It's like it kind of tends to have the same story or the same messages throughout different decks, but with a slightly different meaning. So by the time we get to Pisces, we really see like the full picture of all the information that we've had. So if you do want to watch all the readings as a kind of series or a set, you're welcome to do so. If you just want to watch for your own placements, definitely recommend doing that. You know, whichever placements tend to resonate with you. And if you just want to watch for your rising sign or sun sign, like absolutely fine as well. But again, this could be talking about moon signs. So perhaps you have Aquarius, Aries, Taurus, Leo. As I'm also seeing Capricorn, just because of the deers, which often come through for Cappy. But yeah, I don't know. Take it for resonate. What else we've got him? The moon. So Cancer, Pisces. Yeah. So yeah, you can see here like pushing back on this change, resisting a change or getting used to it. Sometimes she looks like she's trying to, you know, find her balance, like her world has kind of turned on its axis, and she now needs to regain her balance, regain her composure. But pushing back on this change, holding it back, and then kind of like coming into balance, I guess, like finding peace with the change or finding balance, and then kind of sharing some knowledge from this moon down to the people below, right? Down to the others. So in this reading, there's this feeling of one character which is coming through as this king of air character who has this higher perspective, because your reading starts with big picture thinking, Pleiades energy, visionary inspired ideas. So very, very Aquarius, right? It could also be a Pisces with the moon, but that kind of energy of like the philosopher, the spiritual guru, or the just the person who kind of thinks out of the box. Aquarius is a very don't box me in energy. It's a very let's look at this from a different angle. If you think about how the Aquarius is also like the hangman in the tarot. So it's let's turn this on its head. Let's look at this differently. Let's change perhaps our perspective on this. This could be what the change is. Changing the perspective, thunder moon. So it feels like the change though is something that's quite disruptive. It's almost like it's a tower moment, especially with all this lightning. But it's like this person who has this higher view, this higher awareness, this logical thinking, has some kind of broader understanding of this change. So it feels like there could be people who are caught up in this change, who are wrapped up in it, who are kind of very much trying to like they're showing me like a boat with water in it. So it's like they're trying to like get the water out the boat. Like it's frantic, right? So trying to adjust to whatever this is, it's frantic when you're in the midst of it. When you're in the midst of a tower moment, it's chaotic. But this person who's coming through like a guide, right? It could even be like your higher self, or they're telling me contact. So I was avoiding saying this for a moment. I was going to kind of introduce the idea slowly, but the Aquarian energy is always very alien to me. It has this alien starman quality to it. If you think about David Bowie, right, he had an Aquarius, I always think he had an Aquarius moon, but he didn't. He was Aquarius rising. And so if you think about his kind of starman persona, that's very Aquarian to me. So it's this kind of like futuristic, otherworldly, kind of Doctor Who type, intelligent, alien energy. It's very, very Aquarian. I'm sorry if there's any Aquariuses who are like, why are you calling me an alien? It's just energy, right? It's just the nature of the planet that you're ruled by. So, yeah, which is, hang on, let me get it the right way around. Uranus, right? Neptune is Pisces, Uranus is Aquarius. So yeah, it's just the kind of spaceman quality of that planet. And if you think about a lot of, I mean, maybe not things like Independence Day, but if you think about a lot of sci-fi movies about aliens, like sometimes they are these kind of these creatures that show concern, right? They can show concern for our planet. You know, they're coming in with this kind of almost benefactor energy of we understand nature, let's bring this new technology, you know, things like solar panels, for example. Let's bring this technology of solar panels down to the humans so that they can stop using the natural resources. So you do get like benefactor type aliens. It's like very Aquarius is very greater good, right? It's very thinks about the whole, thinks about the population, thinks about the community. So there could be, I'm sorry if you can hear my phone pinging now, I'm just going to move it a bit further away. So it could be something, it could also be confirming things that I'm saying. So it doesn't necessarily have to be aliens, right? I'm not saying it's the aliens, but it might be the aliens, but it doesn't have to be the aliens. But it's that kind of stereotype. So whatever this King of Airs representing, it's like they have this almost... it could be a person, right? It could be a person that you know who has this very, you know, alien-like quality to them. They have, the way they think is very kind of like higher realm thinking. You know, they don't, you know, the way that the brain works it's not like an ordinary human brain, right? They have this kind of old soul, or maybe even almost like computer-like way of thinking. It's like it's like they're, you know, like people say like they're on another planet. This is the kind of person you'd say that about, like they're on another planet. But in your reading, it's coming through literally like they are the man on the moon, right? They are up in the sky on their spaceship, looking down at us, thinking, I want to make contact. I've had this before where I was walking home from work and I was kind of tapping into, sort of through meditation while I was walking, and I was tapping into different things and different energies. And as I kind of tapped into the moon, I had this really lonely feeling. It was this feeling, I think even a song played like, was it Starman? It could have been Starman even by David Bowie. It was a song that was like, what's that? What is it? He wants to come down, but he thinks that he'll blow our minds, right? It's like, and it was coming through really lonely. I think a couple of songs played that really emphasized the loneliness of the man on the moon, right? The loneliness of being someone who has a unique perspective of the world. You know, not everybody can understand that kind of very peculiar, not bad, right? I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying it's innovative. That innovative way of thinking that kind of actually causes somebody to feel very isolated. And that's how it kind of felt. And it was like, I can't come down because, this came out in somebody else's reading. It's like, I can't come down because, and introduce myself because, you know, I'd freak everybody out. So I have to like sit up here on the moon being this isolated creature. So it kind of does have that alien feel to it. So again, it could just be a person who has this quality, or the way it's coming through is literally like a guy on a spaceship. And do you know what I didn't say? Kicking myself for not saying it yesterday in Cancer's reading, when that wasp was coming in and I was looking up out the sky, there was like this, I'm going to sound like I'm making this up, and I swear to God I'm not, but like, it was like a circular, like, was it a light? Because at first, when I first looked up, it reminded me of like a plane, right? You know, like if you look at a plane, sometimes they're kind of silvery in the sky, but it was circular and it was like up. And I have seen something very similar, but like at a greater distance, like years and years and years ago, when I was waiting to pick my kids up from school, I looked up in the sky and there was two like circular orbs, and I was looking at them trying to figure out what they were, and then all of a sudden one of them shot off and I was like, okay, I'm not saying it was the aliens, but maybe. Yeah, so I'm kind of excited and slightly freaked out, but okay, so keep going. So the moon does represent unknown, right? It's things that you don't know, it's things that are secretive, it's things that are hidden. But again, it's this thing about like this higher knowledge, this almost out of this world thinking is starting to be sprinkled down to us, right? It's like it is being we are getting a glimpse of what is being hidden. Okay, now introducing these other two characters, because there's three characters in your reading. So we have this emperor and this character that's coming through almost like a high priestess or a protector of the forest. So I'll just show you her here as well. So you can see she's kind of depicted as this Artemis type character here. So it could be that it's the same person, but I'm seeing it as two people in the same realm. So it's like two people of Earth. And it's coming through, again, kind of old-fashioned or fable-like, of the Emperor and the Emperor's forest. And then it's like, this is the Emperor's realm, right? So yes, because this is the hunter moon. Yes, this Emperor who has this kind of lion head. Yes, he could be described as a hunter. But it's like, it's the hunter in the kind of very almost shamanistic sense of the word, where it's not, let me get another card out to show you kind of what it's not. Hold on. Oh my God, he was right on the bottom of the deck. I didn't even have to look for him. It's like he was waiting to come and be shown. Right, so if you look at this hunter, which is from the Haunted House Tarot deck, this hunter is very predatory to me. He gives me a really uncomfortable feeling. So, you know, if this guy walked into this environment, he would not be welcome there, right? He would clearly be there to go trophy hunting or something, right? So it's like she's protecting these animals from characters like this. Look, because he's literally got like a doe head on the wall, and there's these like deer in the background. So this is a very negative emperor, even though he's in the upright, right? It's like the image itself carries negative connotations to me. And it does say, I have to really emphasize it does say hunter moon, which I think is the first moon. It's one of the early moons in the year. So, and like the wolf moon as well here. So I need to tell you this story, especially because we have this like Artemis type character here. I need to tell you a couple of different stories involving deers. So, there was this reading that I did for Capricorn a few weeks back where it was talking about a very specific story. I'm sorry if you can hear the neighbours outside. I've shut my window, so I don't know how long I'm going to be able to stand that for. It's very, very warm. But the Capricorn had this story time reading, and it was like a very specific story. And again, it could have been metaphorical about maybe a young boy who went out hunting with his I don't know, his dad, his uncle, you know, like it was just a family sport that they did to go out hunting for deer. And either he shot this deer, or, you know, he was part of the hunting party that shot this deer, and he was looking into its eyes, and it's like their souls connected. And ever since that moment, it's like this deer became his Patronus. So even though this deer perhaps was stuffed and mounted on the wall, it's like the eyes would continue, like even like glass eyes, right? It's like the eyes would continue to follow him. And he was haunted by the fact that he'd been like the guilt, right, that he'd killed this animal that he sympathized with. And so it turned out that, I'm saying he, it could have been she, right? It's just the story came through like that. And then it came through like the spirit of this deer then became his like patronus, basically, like his spirit guide. Even though he'd been part of this group, it's like the deer understood that, it's like the deer understood better than he did that he wasn't this, he wasn't part of this group, he was this kind of emperor, right? It was his realm, it was the way it was coming through. So this is saying to me, perhaps the, you know, the, yes, he's a hunter, but he grew up to be a different kind of hunter with a different kind of morals or principles. It could just be, right, again, I've been watching the Alien and Predator movies, and if you compare like the aliens, they're very, very lethal, right, to the Predator alien, which has a code of conduct. So it's like this emperor, yes, he will still hunt because he's a lion, right? That's his nature to do that. He does it with a sense of respect for nature, right? This is, you know, you can't overhunt, you know, this kind of thing. Like you can't overfish, you can't overhunt because it's going to damage the ecosystem. So this emperor is like, this is his forest, you know, this is his territory, this is his hunting ground, these are his animals, this is his family. So yes, while sometimes he may, because that's his source of food, he may, you know, do what comes naturally and kind of take one of those animals, it's done in a respectful way, you know, kind of like, you know, Native American tribes or Eskimos, you know, they make full use out of that animal. It's done in a it's done with a sense of respect for life and death. Okay, it's not wasteful. So yeah, it seems to be that this is a character that lives in his forest, right? This is this high priestess like woman who is, it doesn't have to be a woman, who's very, very, very in tune with nature, very in tune with his animals. And it almost seems like he's going to consult with her. It's like this is a meeting. Again, it could be the same person, but because of this card up here, which I'm going to get to, it feels like it's two people. So it seems to be like this king comes out of his castle, right? He goes into his forest, king emperor, and he goes to consult with this Artemis-like high priestess of nature. I know Artemis wasn't a high priestess, but you're getting what I'm saying. And then it's like, we, you know, I have been made aware of this change coming. So you see the moon in the background. It's like, again, it's like, it's almost like this character, this alien-like character, is the one holding back the change. And while they're holding back the change, they're kind of like sprinkling down some knowledge, some awareness to these two characters. It's like, do you also see this coming? Do you also see this coming in? It's like it's getting increasingly closer, like throughout the reading. It starts off kind of small and then it's like closer and like closer still, right? So it's like as the full moon comes in, perhaps as it could even be a planet. What planet did I say? Uranus. It could even be like Uranus is like particularly close to Earth or something. Because like the planets, they don't go circular, do they? They kind of go in a elliptical shape. So it's like, yeah, it seems to be some kind of consultation or something. You know, like the king descends to walk amongst his people or something like this. But it says abundance as well. And I think there's something about the natural abundance of our natural planet. Again, I don't know if you can see in my reflection in the cards, I've got my hair all wrapped up because I look so funny. Okay, I'm going to try not to show myself on camera. I've got like, I'm curling my hair because I'm kind of, yeah, I'm curling my hair. I just look really silly. I look like an old-fashioned housewife. Okay, so what's happening? It seems to be saying, it's funny that the squirrels are here as well. The squirrels have kind of been haunting me a little bit in my readings with the acorns. It's like this message of be resourceful. Like the squirrels say, be resourceful, like save your money, prepare for winter, right? Like while there's an abundance, like while there's an abundance now, be smart with that abundance, right? So it's not wasteful, is the way it's coming through. I really need to plant my strawberry seeds. I don't know if some of you know, I've got a strawberry plant, and I was going to eat one, but I kind of missed my chance, and now my strawberries are kind of getting a bit shrivelly, and I really need to go out and get some mud today and plant all those seeds so that I get lots of strawberry plants, right? It's just kind of an experiment. So I don't know what I'm going to do with like 100 strawberry plants, but we'll see. So again, I don't necessarily think things through. I kind of do things intuitively. I don't know what it means. It seems to be as the Aquarius full moon gets full, right? At the peak of the Aquarius full moon, it's the kind of this high priestess like character first goes into this meditation. Now I'm really happy with how these cards came out, because when they came out the first time, so basically what I do is I've got these really mega decks of cards. I've got like 11 decks that I'm using that are all mixed together. This is 3, right? I've got like 6 stacks of decks, and I shuffle them until cards come out, and then I put that deck aside, get the next deck, shuffle, and then I put all the cards together and reshuffle. So I was really pleased that these cards came out in this order, because it really is talking to me about meditation rather than because this kind of has a bit of an Ophelia quality, if you know what I mean. So it's like, no, it's talking about meditation. It's talking about and this came through in Cancer's reading yesterday about relaxing into it, letting go, not resisting. So it's like not resisting sleep, or going into a meditation and kind of going into that flow state where you're very free to receive messages. So it's talking about kind of astrally projecting, or imagining, or connecting on the 5D, right? So kind of almost like the soul, it's like she's fading. Do you see what I mean? It's like she's fading out of this existence. She's going to sleep in a way, and her consciousness is going elsewhere. That's a good way to put it. So with this idea of, again, like going into autumn as well, letting go, letting things fall away. It could be talking about something in life, right? Letting go of possessions, letting go of things that you were clinging to in some way, releasing those things. It's like it's almost like as she relaxes, as she sleeps or meditates, it's like her soul is able to leave her body, like astrally projecting, right? And then it's like in doing that, she's able to literally go to the moon is the way it's coming through, or go to this spacecraft. I know it's a little bit airy-fairy, but I'm going to just tell you the story that's coming through. And it's like, then it's like, here's her soul, right? Here's her soul talking to the man on the moon. It's like they are, so it's like she was here with the Emperor, like in the 3D. Look at the colors, right? She was here in this realm with the Emperor, in this earthly realm, and then she's in consultation with, in spirit, with this kind of spirit guide, or it's just coming through like, I'm going to just say like this alien, right? So if you think about like Star Wars, you know, the hologram of Princess Leia, I think that was a recording, but I'm pretty sure, like watching Obi-Wan Kenobi, I'm pretty sure they can, is it always a recording, or can they communicate live? Like FaceTime, it could be FaceTime, right? So you could be FaceTiming with somebody. It's like being somewhere but not being there, like not being there physically, but your image is there. So it could be astral, it could just be like FaceTime, I don't know. And it's like, but it's like appearing then in front of this character. So it's crazy, it's mad. So, and it says treasures hidden in the shadows, right? So it does seem that the intention of the Emperor and this High Priestess character, I'm saying High Priestess, although the High Priestess isn't here, I just need language to explain the character. This, it could be like a, you know, like a witch, or this old woman of the woods kind of energy, you know. So I'm just going to say High Priestess. Like treasures hidden in the shadows. It's like they're, because this is the shadows, right? The moon is things that are hidden. The moon is secret knowledge. So it does feel like the Emperor and the the Emperor and this Artemis High Priestess character are doing this meditation in order to access the treasures hidden in the shadows, right? The information of this person's realm. And then it says here, like, leap, you go first, the universe will catch you. And this is why I'm saying I think this is two different people, because it's like it's almost like this character knows how to do it. She's already, do you know, Santaro had a very similar Leo reading, and I think she had the same card. I was kind of half listening to it yesterday, and it's like, I swear to God, I do not make this up. This is legitimately how the cards came out, and I've got a very similar message. I need to go and rewatch her reading because I don't fully remember it. But again, it's like she goes first because she's somehow, it's like she already does this on Earth in some sort of way. She already is able to psychically connect with these animals around her. It's like, that's why the animals trust her, right? Because she can already talk to them. So this is just doing what she does naturally anyway, but doing it in a way where she's literally, can you see, it's like she's going to the moon. It's like she already does this. She already knows how to do this. This is why the Emperor is going to her. But it feels like the Emperor wants to also do this, right? The Emperor also wants to, it's like, you go first and then I'll follow you, kind of thing. So then we've got this thing about things that are in alignment. So I don't know if the Emperor is able to do this or if the Emperor gets left behind, because again, the wolf is Emperor energy to me. I'm going to tell you a story about the wolf as well in a minute. And do you see how there's this whole like blue and gold thing? So the blue here of this kind of alien territory, and then the gold seems to be part of the earthly territory, and you can see how, or vice versa, I don't know, but it's talking about two different energies, right? The blue energy and the gold energy. I was getting Daddy Blue last night as I was falling asleep, and it was making me think of the Lana Del Rey. You know, she says, like, she calls somebody blue all the time, like baby blue and stuff. Like, blue is it's like coded language for her. So this could be coded language, but I was getting Daddy Blue. So it's like something about the gold and blue and like things coming into alignment, like, because you have this whale song here which is resonating, and can you see it's like blue on blue, and then this deer is very gold on gold, right? So it's like maybe like I'm not 100% sure what's going on, but it's like this summoning energy. So it's like, if you get in the right vibration, and again, the whale talks to me about like this very alien quality. It actually specifically talks to me about a Doctor Who episode called The Beast Below, where there's this giant, it's called a star whale, and it's like this ancient being that is a simile for Doctor Who himself, like this ancient being who's alone, right? Do you remember how I was saying it's like he's completely alone, but still going to help, especially going to help children, right, or people in need. It's like he's alone, but he's kind. It's like his age and his solitude just make him more kind. So whales always talk to me about like that kind of star whale analogy of Doctor Who. So again, tying into this kind of like Aquarius quirky alien character. So it's like something about the vibration of this realm or character is drawing things to it. You see how these kind of like what they call these jellyfish are kind of like being lifted out of the sea to go and join that energy. So it very much is talking to me about, just wait for that to go past, like it's like it's almost pulling this energy out to kind of summon it in some sort of way. And then we also have this fascinating card where it seems to be something about a portal opening, or something. It's something like, because it's something like the High Priestess character who is like crosses from, you know, like teleports. It's like teleporting out of one realm in order to manifest in this other realm. It's like has become either back down on earth or has become solid, right? It's like they've become whole in one of the places again. I want to say they're back on earth. So it's like they go to this place and then they come back to earth. But it's like the emperor, because this represents the emperor for me, like again, it's like the soul of the emperor, right? The patronus of the emperor. It's like it has followed them. So if, you know, if there was something here about a feeling of being left behind in some sort of way, it's like, no, you successfully summoned this emperor through this portal. Like they have the knowledge of how to do this now, something like that. It's like you come, whatever it is that you're doing, or whatever it is that these characters are doing in this reading. Again, it could be some TV show that I'm channeling. That happens from time to time. Look at the numbers as well, 11 and 22, right? And it does feel like there's something about combining power or sharing wisdom, right? So 11s obviously break down to a 2, and 2s talk about partnership, collaboration, shared experience. And then we have these 2-2s, right? So 2-2s is like 4, which talks about really firm foundations, a really solid, stable base, because the base, it doesn't look very solid and stable. Like it's like ship as well. I was talking about bailing out the ship, right? It's like, but now you have this wisdom. And so it's kind of giving me, with great power, I mean, these are different decks, right? With great power comes great responsibility, right? There's no good having power if you don't have the wisdom of what to do with it, right? You need power and you need purpose. So this seems to be whatever this, because she's like waving goodbye to it here, right? It's like it's coming close and it's passed on. It's like passed by. So it's like whatever this experience was that could be happening around the Aquarius full moon for perhaps a collective group of people, it leaves behind like actual practical earthly solid wisdom, right? It leaves behind something that can be applied in this realm, right? The realm of the emperor and the high priestess. So it does seem to be handing people like wisdom that can benefit those in power, because we have the emperor here, right? So it's like, again, it's like, you know, aliens coming to visit and being like, here's some information about how to improve technology. Here's some information about how to create solar panels. And then it's like they go off, right? And they leave us with that wisdom. And it's up to the people in power to, you know, to access that wisdom and harness it and apply it in a way that's beneficial to everybody. That's how it feels. And it's a very big reading, right? It's a very out there reading. It's a very kind of hard to believe perhaps for some people reading, but here it is. So it does seem to be a call to those in power to accept and apply any wisdom that comes to them through these energies that are very, very connected to the natural world, right? Who have this kind of like high priestess or shamanistic quality to them. It doesn't have to be gendered, by the way. You can flip the gender, which really interesting. Hunger as well, wolf moon hunger. So a bit of I'll finish the reading and then I'll kind of prattle on about my own experience. So I don't have many intuitive messages for you here, because it's like I pulled the cards and I needed to get the reading up ready for the Aquarius full moon. And that's why I still have like stupid hair and stuff. Like I barely wash my face. Like, and I've only got like one layer of nail varnish on as well. So I've got to like apply a second coat. I'm so scruffy. But it's like, it was really important. There was this sense of urgency to getting this reading done. It's like exciting and like, I don't know, I would encourage everybody to actually, I thought there was something on there, it's a butterfly. I would encourage everybody to actually go and meditate tonight, even if you can't see the full moon, right? Even if it's a cloudy sky, just at night time, maybe before you go to bed, spend some time, I don't know, put on whale songs perhaps, and just meditate. Try and completely let go of anything that's worrying you, any kind of jobs that you need to do the next day, any kind of stress or responsibilities, and just exist, right? Just exist and listen and let go. And kind of as you fall asleep or as you fall into this meditation, see what wisdom and knowledge comes to you, because it could be a really interesting exercise for you. Okay, so I actually got, as I was pulling this card, ooh, tummy, shush, like tummy's excited. As I pulled this Emperor and this Abundance card, I'm sorry if you can hear my tummy rumbling. I heard a sentence, and it was probably the title of this reading, and it was The Triumph of the Nature King. And I thought it was fascinating. And I mean, it's an emperor, not a king, but the triumph of the nature king. It's like those in power who have a respect for nature are in alignment with the higher energies, right? It's like those energies that kind of have this higher perspective and care about, so you could be talking about the universe, God, you know, aliens, whatever you want to say is this higher power, right? This higher knowledge. It's like if you are in a position of power here on earth, and you are very, very respectful and connected to environmental issues, it's like you are in alignment with that Aquarian alien energy. So they're going to use you as, not in a negative way, right, in a mutually beneficial way, symbiotic way, I guess. It's like you will be chosen to receive this power and knowledge because you're in alignment with them, right? You are going to help them carry out the things that Earth need. So yeah, the triumph of the Nature King. I love it. And then this is kind of where, like, sometimes I feel like the cards are like, I'm gonna swear, like sometimes I feel like the cards and my guides are kind of fucking with me a bit, but it's kind of like taking me back as well to almost the start of my awakening experience, and a time when I was really confused. Like, you know, like, do you ever feel like really clear and really confused at the same time? So the songs that are coming through, one of them, it has been coming through all week, and it's The Space Between by the Dave Matthews Band, and it's been coming through with this kind of like, for me, I've been getting it because I'm seeing it everywhere. It's so funny. It's like, again, like the squirrels and the acorns, I'm seeing them everywhere. I've got a picture of me sat on a giant wooden acorn that was just lying in this park. So it's like, I just, you know, when you just see a certain symbol or a certain sign everywhere you look. So The Space Between, it was coming through. I kept on hearing it when I was researching, well, not researching, but I was watching those programs about physics and mathematics, and what was it called? There's something, I can't even remember what it's called now. I talk about it in Gemini's reading. It's talking about like how you can apply mathematical equations to nature, and it's like you can magnify or zoom in on a space and the space will remain the same, no matter how, you know, the size of it. It's like it's still the same, or you can zoom in on it and you'll find the same pattern, and you can zoom in again and you'll find the same pattern. So it's something about like the increase and decrease of the patterns of nature, and it keeps on coming through with this phrase, the space between. And in Santaro's reading, I can't remember which reading it was, but it was like last week, and she kept on saying it. She kept on saying the phrase, and I was sat there thinking, oh my God, like, I don't know, it's like this phrase that keeps coming up, the space between. And Head Over Feet by Alanis Morrisette. So they are the songs that randomized for this reading, and yeah, anything that you take from those, take it, because like we all interpret things differently, right? So yeah, so right, I think that's more or less your reading. I need to get you an advice card. So can I get an advice card, please? This and that are true, and know your worth. So this and that are true. After what I just said about people interpret things differently, right? Different people can have different truths. They don't have to invalidate the other. So make space for make space for allowing conflicting ideas and theories to exist. It can be that even though things appear to be in conflict, they can actually exist at the same time. I'm kind of getting Mandela effect. I don't know, Mandela effect. An elephant, learn from the past. This and that are true, learn from the past. I was like, if the squirrel and deer come out again, I was really genuinely expecting them to come out and they didn't. So what's on the bottom? Oh yeah, skunk spirit, know your worth. Okay. Dolphin spirit, like her earthly manifestation, is a reminder of duality. As the dolphin is both mammal and sea creature, so too is dolphin spirit, both this and that. Two truths coexist, the story you tell and another as well. The duality of life is present when we are suffering, for there is a blessing too in the helpers that appear. Within clouds are silver linings, which we later reflect on. When we later reflect on what happened, we can see that a situation was both this and that, a choice that led to both joy and sorrow. No relationship is either all good or all bad, and people have qualities of both light and shadow. Focus on the positive, for light exists alongside the darkness. Dolphin spirit calls for you to come up from below and enjoy a weightless moment in the sun as you dive in and out of this and that, accepting and even enjoying the duality of life. Why not join dolphin spirit in acknowledging and affirming the blessings present in this moment? In all areas of your life, there are both aspects of this and that. Today you can celebrate this fact and recognize the complexity and beauty of the fabric of the universe. You are at a place right now where your past self is still present as you move towards the new self you are becoming. Aspects of both selves are present, so even if you want to say goodbye to what was, you are required to find solace in this between time, the space between, right? Today is not a day to choose one over another either, but rather to accept things as they are without judgment or resistance. Even in matters of the heart, duality is present. Your next action will be obvious when you drop your bias and see things as a whole. So when you have that big picture thinking. And again, Aquarius had this thing about big picture thinking, about, you know, all the different pieces of a puzzle coming, you know, seeing them all and seeing that big picture. So interesting. 25. It's like, if you're confused, accept the confusion, right? The confusion is the truth. Like, if you're confused, being confused is a fact. So it's like, even when you don't know, you can find acceptance in that, especially like letting go here as well. It's like you can let go of the need for answers. You can let go of the need for control. You can just allow what is to be the truth, right? Learn from the past. Although we often wish we could leave the past behind, Elephant Spirit reminds us that memory matters. We must respect the wisdom. And those two songs actually bring up memories for me. So that's really interesting. It's talking about kind of like the here and now and the then, and memory. Elephant Spirit reminds us that memory matters. We must respect the wisdom of the elders who hand down to us traditions they have shaped to express our connection to each other and respect for the community. What has come before informs what we are experiencing today. We must never forget our legacy of strength and dignity. Elephant Spirit appears with the message that we are to acknowledge that which came before and learn from it. All of us are memory-based creatures, and we must revisit the past to understand where we are and where we are going. The stories of events you experienced, the stories in our collective memory, and the stories of relationships that you have had can be told in many ways, right? So it could be talking about relationships where people have different versions of events. And again, it's important to understand that both can be true, because we experience things through our own personal lenses, right? So we are different human beings experiencing the world in different ways. And it's okay if our version does not match someone else's version. It's like, that's part of the truth, right? Misunderstandings and tension or conflict is all part of the truth. It's like nobody has to win, right? What story will you tell? Elephant Spirit is here to encourage you to make it one that stirs in you a sense of power and dignity, for you have honoured yourself by choosing to learn from your past. Spirit rejoices at your willingness to learn and grow. So yeah, it's like turn whatever wisdom you're receiving into personal power. This also talks to me a little bit about, if you want to kind of look up these stories, I won't go into them in depth, but there's a story of Actaeon, and Diana or Artemis, who he is a hunter, right? He's out hunting with his dogs and he strays into the territory of Artemis, and accidentally sees her bathing. She turns him into a stag. So that could be a story that resonates for some of you. And there could also be, there's also a story of Agamemnon, who is from the Iliad, right? And yeah, the Odyssey and the Iliad. There's a story of Agamemnon, and his boats are stuck. There's like a storm and he can't, they can't sail to go to Troy. So his men are getting really restless and they ask a priest, what do we do? And the priest says, you need to sacrifice your own daughter. And he does, right? Which is why he has this falling out with his wife, right? Clytemnestra. And it's like a fated, there's a lot of fate involved in that, in the decisions that Agamemnon makes in that moment. And he's advised, if you read Iphigenia Aulis, Iphigenia is his daughter, some of the characters advise against doing this. They say, that priest it's like a hoax. That priest, he doesn't know what he's talking about. You're just caving into public pressure. You're just doing this because your men are frustrated and they want an answer. And clearly, like, he deceives his wife and things like this. He deceives his daughter. He tells her that she's going to get married to, what's his name? Achilles. Achilles knows nothing about it, so he deceives Achilles. And so even against his better judgment and wisdom, he goes ahead and he, allows the priest to sacrifice Iphigenia. However, Artemis is appalled by this. Artemis, who's this goddess of virginal women, and she takes Iphigenia to be one of her hunting party. She saves her. And in a flash, the Iphigenia is replaced by a stag or a deer. So I don't know if either of those has any relevance to anyone, but there you are. You can think about like Jane Doe's as well, perhaps. Let's get a song on camera. I really want to show as well, I wish I could go back and show you like space between genuinely like randomized before that and now. That's Alanis Morrisette, Head Over Feet. So a song, please. A song for this reading. A song that resonates. A song that explains. A song that brings clarity. It's an advert for olive oil. Hold on a second. Okay, so I paused while the adverts played. You've got Playing Dangerous by Blue Shore, which is a bit of a kinky song. Officer, officer, everybody knows I'm a good girl, officer. No, I wouldn't do a thing like that, that's for sure. The house was already on fire, so I swear I'm not a liar. So maybe have a look at that song if you want to. I'm not quite sure how that applies to the reading, but take it if it resonates, leave it if it doesn't. I kind of want to get another one because that I don't see how that, I mean, maybe it makes perfect sense to you, I don't know. Another one, please. Another song. And Papa Don't Preach by Madonna. Papa, I know you're going to be upset, 'cause I was always your little girl. Could be talking about abortion rights and stuff. Women's rights to decide what happens to their own body, and supporting them in making those decisions could be a topic. Okay, so I'm gonna, if you're leaving the reading here, thank you so much for coming. Do take care of yourselves. I'm kind of just gonna waffle on about my own experience now. So in Gemini's reading, they had this thing where it was like, okay, picture yourself, do a meditation, picture yourself in a forest, in some woodland, I mean, you can go and watch the end of Gemini's reading for this, and then like you meet this wolf, and this wolf is like your spirit guide, like what happens next. And that's like leaving it open-ended like that to allow you to use your imagination, to allow your subconscious and higher self to speak to you through, I don't know, story and metaphor and role play in your imagination, could tell you what to do with your life, right? So for me, I did this meditation and I went and I met the wolf. And it's so funny that the wolf, this is kind of like why this reading's freaking me out a little bit, because I'm seeing a lot of parallels with like other stuff that I've been getting. And it's like, sometimes I don't know if it's for me or for people, like for my viewers, right? But it's like, felt very, very personal. It felt like I had a new spirit guide. So I met this wolf, and it's like my forest. So in the Gemini reading, it was a winter scene, right? There was snow, there was like white trees. But as I leaned into this meditation, my forest became very crystalline. So it's funny, I was getting like Superman and the Crystal Cave, right? Superman and the Forest, what is it? Not Forest of Solitude, Fortress of Solitude. I mean, maybe Forest of Solitude. You know, it's like he's in that kind of crystal cavern. And crystals do talk to me about like kind of new age Aquarian energy too, and like natural healing and vibrations and frequencies and all this kind of thing. So it's fascinating to me. And the Superman character, when I originally had that original message, was very much like an emperor character. He was like a CEO, again, very Aquarian. It was coming through with like, you know, VR and, you know, LED screens, you know, because they have screens have crystals in. So it was like the use of crystals in technology to bring apps and programs that can actually heal people. I talk about it more in a kind of Gemini's reading. It was like using technology to, and natural things like crystals in new ways to get people into that kind of like resting state of dreamlike consciousness in order to role play or to access meditation apps and things like that that can actually heal people like at a soul level through technology, right? Which again can make money for the emperors and CEOs. So it's just fascinating to me, the messages that you get sometimes. So anyway, in this meditation, I was kind of like, my forest was like very kind of, if you think about Superman's little crystal cave, like the kind of like almost like a musical instrument, right? Almost like what they could like need to stop doing that gesture. Like the tree trunks themselves were crystal. And whenever I see crystals, I always see like rainbow kind of colors and different lights playing through the crystals. And then like the air was full of snow, and of course snow is a form of crystal, right, as well, like ice is a form of crystal. So it's like my entire environment was this kind of crystal energy, which very much talks to me about like the soul star chakra or the higher heart chakra, right? Like your soul always is depicted to me as a diamond. So it being in this very crystalline environment, very peaceful. And then I met my wolf, but my wolf was made of stars. They were like, it's so funny as well to me, and I actually DM'd my friend about this because she posts art, excuse me a second. Okay, my daughter being disruptive, like got invaded by both my kids. I did get a hug though off my son, so that was nice. So yeah, so it's so strange to me because I had this vision of like almost like a constellation, like my wolf was like made of stars. And then my friend on Twitter, she retweets art, and she retweeted into my timeline this, like, it was like a fox, but it's like this blue fox with like a constellation all over it. And I was like, oh my God, it's like my, I don't know, spirit guide is like confirming its presence here, like on Twitter. It's such a strange coincidence. So I actually DM'd her. I was like, that was freaky. So yeah, so this spirit guide, and it kind of like climbed up in the trees, and I followed it. I was like climbing up these crystals to get to it, and then all of a sudden I was like in space, in the stars. So it's like I was up there kind of with this kind of energy then. But before I did, right at the start of the meditation, I looked up, and there was like this, like an actual star shape, you know, like if you were doing a nativity or something, like a big star right above my head, and it was shining like shining a torch through a star-shaped hole, basically down onto me, like a tractor beam, right? And it was like all this like rainbow energy, like being in this almost like a beam, right? Like an alien beam. It's just like that. Or I was like having this tractor beam of rainbow crystalliness like onto me. Yeah, and then I met this thing and like climbed up the tree and was in space. So I don't know, maybe I got abducted or something in that moment. But it led me to, it led me to, and I was actually, funnily enough, I was actually listening to TM Soft, their meditation sounds. They've got a new one, and it was the Cliffs of Carina, which is Carina. Carina is a constellation, and it's the meaning of it. It's referring to the Argonauts, right? The ship of the Argonauts, like Jason and the Golden Fleece, and it actually means the hull of a ship, like the bottom of a ship. So that was interesting to me as well, that parallel. And then I ended up thinking to myself, okay, I didn't even think about the dog star, right? But like Sirius, the dog star, could also come into effect because it was like a wolf. So then I'm going, is there a wolf constellation? And there was. I googled it, and there is a wolf constellation. It actually borders Libra, and I'm a Libra. And it's a kind of, as I was kind of like falling into this rabbit hole of looking at this constellation. Oh, excuse me, my tummy really rumbled then. I'm so sorry. I don't know what that's about. I've just got a really noisy tummy this week. I found this, like, hang on, what is it? IC4406 planetary nebula, and this image from the Hubble telescope, and it's like, it's called the retina. It's called like the retina something or other, because it kind of looks like an eye, and I have this feeling now, this like eye in the sky, like looking down and watching me. I don't know, it's all meditation and like metaphor and things like that, isn't it, really? But it was just so funny to me, like how I had this meditation, then I kind of keep seeing it in the cards. I don't know. All right, I don't know if that makes any sense to anyone. I thought I'd overshare, as I always do. But do if you know, it doesn't matter if you're a Leo or not. I feel like there could be an opportunity for us all to access some kind of out of the box, like innovative information that could really help us make a difference here on our kind of earthly life. So do a little bit of meditation during the full moon and just see what you get. And if you get nothing at all, then that's absolutely fine. But you may get something that's actually really going to be very, very beneficial and helpful to you. So there's no harm in trying. And yeah, I'm going to leave it there. Do take care of yourselves, and I will see you again soon. Bye, friends.